I bought my laptop about a week before Christmas in December of 2020. I was coming out of a 7-Eleven when I was visiting Las Vegas by car, and there was a guy, early 20s, with a girl in the passenger seat of a smaller car, right in front of a 7-Eleven. He says, "Hey man, you want to buy a laptop?" Well, obviously it's probably a scam, but what are you talking about? Let's see what's going on here. So he had it like right on his lap, the laptop. He pulled it up and he says, "Everything works. It's all good. Here's the password." I said, "Well, how much you want?" I mean, I figure for a low enough price, I'm willing to have that thing not work at all. It's worth the risk. And so he says, "I'll give it to you for 20." Well, this is pretty interesting, but if it works, it's worth like 100, right? Probably, maybe even a little bit more. But so I battled him. I said, "How about 15?" And he was like, "How about this? How about we had like a back and forth for multiple price ranges. We settled on $17. So this thing worked perfectly, and it was his too, because I got back and I wasn't really even looking for stuff, but like I would go to a certain site once in a while, and then his login would be on there, like his Facebook was on there, Instagram. But it wasn't like there was any way, even if I wanted to make a move on this guy, because all of his logins were for stuff that were bullshit. Like he had like casinos on there, online casinos and payday loan type stuff. So like, I mean, it wasn't like I was trying to scam, but it was just interesting that I had access to all his stuff. Well, then one day, a month or so after that, or 2 months later, I guess, I noticed that his Facebook login, I was just browsing around on his Facebook, just curious to see who this guy was. And what? I mean, he had the big neck tattoo, everywhere. It looked down and out, looked just like thug life, probably, white Hispanic guy. And make a long story short, when I was like browsing around his Facebook or something, I don't know if I sent a message to someone or whatever, but his mother sent me a message and said something weird to me. But it wasn't weird enough, like, other than she knew that someone was in his Facebook. And I can't remember if this was like a month and a half, 2 or 3, or even possibly 4 months later. Well, long story short, some of his stuff is still on this laptop, and there was a part on my laptop where I didn't even know that was on there, but there's a section where it has all the saved passwords, and like at this point some of them are mine for the sites I use, but I can notice that some of them were his, because there were sites with saved passwords. I mean, there was a section on here where you can click where password saver, and so I was like, well, he's still got all this stuff on here. So well, then I said, well, I forgot about this guy, because by now it's been 2.5 years. I was like, let me Google this guy's name. And I Googled his name, and he was shot dead by the police about 60 days after I bought this laptop. And even there was an article that said he was in Vegas. He got picked up in Vegas on a warrant. Well, he wasn't from Vegas, but he got picked up. He wasn't from the state of Nevada. He got picked up in Vegas. It must have been like really shortly after I saw him, and he did about 30 or 60 days there. And then like he got out, and like within 5 days he was driving around, and in another state. I'm not gonna say which. It doesn't really even matter. But and then he got was in a high speed chase, but just kind of like driving through all kinds of neighborhoods, residential areas, real fast, and ramming police cars. And they shot him dead, And his picture is just like you might expect, but he was actually like kind of like a good looking guy. In the one picture, he had like kind of like the chiseled features, but he was a lost soul. Apparently, he was in the car with, I don't know if it was the same girl or not, but it might have been his sister this time. And his mother was on the phone with him, and he was just very emotional about things. But like, he had no shot. He had all these hardcore tattoos up to his neck, and he was just a troubled kid, and it's like 23 years old. And obviously, it's weird, because he was going down in flames right when I saw him. And I think right after I saw him, probably within a week, he got arrested in Vegas and was in the county jail there for a month or two, and went back, left the state of Nevada, and within like a week of that, he got shot dead. But I think he was on all kinds of drugs and stuff. But it's just kind of interesting. It's like, it's predictable, that how some people's lives are going to play out. And I'd have never guessed that he would have died within 60 days of me seeing him. in a police shootout of all things. Like, what are the odds of that? So, I mean, I guess in a weird way, I don't know if he was a threat to the general public, but you don't really want to interact too many times with people. Of course, I was right in front of the door to the 7-Eleven, so it was like really right out in the open. There were a bunch of people around, and he didn't even get out of his car, so I was not going to put myself in any danger. But you don't want to be interacting with too many people who are capable or predictably capable of getting involved in a police chase where they get shot dead. So I mean, because it could have happened to me. Not that I'm even thinking about that, but just another one of my stories.